Good morning. Good morning to Hammered and Pax, my two most excellent friends. Um, we're talking about men and women. Salute to men and women. Oh, and what it means to be a man. And Hammer, I owe Hammered an answer to a question, which the question was if I was on a bus, if I was driving a bus, there were 30 women on the bus, what would one of the women have to do for me to pull off to the side of the road, open the door, and say, out? So we'll get to that. I can't imagine that's going to pay off for me in any way. but fair is fair. So yeah, more about man and being a man. Um, why are you so tired, Earl? You're probably thinking. You'd be right to think that. Oh, I was up till 2:30 drinking malt liquor and playing zombie games. Dead Island, and I'm not gonna say I was up till 2:30 killing zombies because a man doesn't kill zombies. Um, Probably a young man does. Like I'm old and wise, and I realize for every 10 bullets you have, there's gonna be 100 zombies. Um, well, use a crowbar. Crowbars never run out of ammo. Well, that's thanks, Cletus. Um, well, after 10 zombies hitting with a crowbar, 30, you're it's hard to hold on to your crowbar for one, and it is going to get banged up on stuff. He says, I mean, my experience flailing around with a crowbar is I catch it on things all the time, not just zombies, but like sides of walls, bars. Like you're running through those like tiki bars, and they've got those metal support poles. Um, that hold up the thatched roof, the fake thatched roof, and some zombie comes running around behind the bar, and you go swing, and you just catch that support pole, which, if you're lucky, the gigantic bong distracts the zombie long enough to get a foot on its chest and push it back. So yeah, I think a real man avoids zombies as much as possible. Just gets the job done. Gets the signal amplifier, puts power grids back online, reconnects water flow, um, and scavenges spark plugs and engine parts so that cars could be kept running. Men really like cars because it's like becomes like some sort of like personification of who they are. Um, which sometimes it's like it shocks people that I drive a minivan. Um, until a friend of mine needed to quote one of the other men on I just saw this, I haven't heard this in a long time, a buttload. We needed to get a buttload of pallets, and my friend was deeply impressed by how many pallets we got in the minivan, and closed the door. Did we close the door? Maybe we didn't get the door closed. I don't know. It was a lot. Um, so I think, like if it's a personification of me, it's a personification of capability. All-wheel drive. You can sleep in it. Haul a bunch of people. Take a bunch of camping equipment. Um, the carpet could get all gouged up by wood and dogs and spilled coffee, and you're just like, whatever, just doing its job. Oh, some men like powerful muscle cars, and so when I was running around the island scavenging powerful muscle cars, I thought to myself, there's zombies in the road. I know my rule of thumb is, just avoid them. And I'm like, I don't know, I'll just hit that one. It's right in the middle of the road. I'm not gonna swerve. Swerving is where you get into trouble. So I hit this zombie. He comes sliding up the hood, smashes into the window. Um, for a moment there, I actually thought he was going to come through the window. I smash out the window, and what do I see? And also, I'm going 65 miles an hour. It didn't occur to me to slow down while this was happening. If anything, I sped up. And then there was like all I could see in front of me actually was more zombies and a touring bus that had stopped kind of across the road, and I just slammed into those zombies and slammed into the touring bus. Um, mayhem then ensued. I got out and I took care of business, but I realized I wasn't taking care of business to begin with, or I wouldn't have been jumping out of my car like flailing away with a hammer that I had taken like a 3 foot length of steel pipe and wedged a hammer down there and drilled a couple bolts in there, so like the hammer had extra, the distance, speed, velocity equals power, and power gets you out of a tight spot. And then after staying up all night avoiding zombies, a guy makes just some black coffee, which evidently I've been in New York a couple times, and pretty much I had to go get a coffee guy and convince him that black coffee equals camping. And if you're in the city and you can't go camping, you get some black coffee, then like you feel like you're camping. And he's like, "You sure no sugar, no cream? I'll put sugar and cream in it." And I'm like, this is after like 4 days. But after about a week, I got him to just give me black coffee. Oh, so a guy wakes up, makes some black coffee that you put a horseshoe in it, and the horseshoe it starts to dissolve, but mostly it just stays straight up and down. You take that horseshoe out because that's, you don't want to go through a bunch of those. You put on a flak jacket because bulletproof vests for babies. You sharpen your spear. Let me hold on to this. Actually, if you got a spear, you walk around with it like this, just gripping it like crazy. Because Kila, don't touch me when I'm touching spears. Because walking around with a spear feels like it feels like carrying a knife around times 1,000. I think even if that had a sheath on it, which I want to make for it, I'd still be concerned. Kila, just give me a moment talking about man stuff, not dog stuff. Though men have dogs, big dogs, big good dogs. Some men, young men, I'm gonna say, no matter how old they get, they have bad dogs. It's like, well, you wanted a dog, but you didn't want to take the time to have a good dog. Is what I see. It's less than that. Like you take even less time, because all dogs are good, so it takes an extra special kind of lack of manhood to turn a dog back. I guess because then the dog it needs to think that it needs to be, protect itself, and it needs to be in charge. Because if you don't provide that, if you're not in charge of your dog, if you don't provide all that it needs and more than it needs, and also provide it a sense of security, you're gonna end up with a bad dog. A long time ago, actually, when Keel was young, he used to kind of run back towards me when like a big pack of dogs would come around a trail. Now he'll look at me and I'll nod and say it's okay. So like he still wants my protection, but now he just wants my acknowledgement it's okay. He doesn't actually have to come back to me for physical protection. He gets, I guess, mental protection. I say those dogs are fine. They're gonna be okay. Just one of them looks like a timber wolf. All right. Well, I suppose we'll get to Hammered's question. I really was trying to shake off as many viewers as possible before I answered Hammered's question, because I can't imagine kicking a lady off the bus. It's pretty hardcore. And I've only encountered this a couple times in my life. I'd say twice. In my idea, if a woman has just crossed the line, I need to pull the bus over and say, "Get off my bus." I've met twice in my life women who gave no consideration for their kids. Their kids were a nuisance, an inconvenience, and they were going to go. It was almost like they wanted. Maybe they had their kids young. I mean, I would guess that they did, and I almost think that they resent their loss of, like, their late teens or early 20s or whatever, and now that they're reaching their 30s or whatever, they're like, I want to go back to be a 19-year-old, and they do, and 19-year-olds, God bless them, aren't known for their good judgment, how that affects themselves, and if you have a child or children in tow, I can't imagine. I just can't imagine. So I've known two people like that, and I couldn't distance myself from them fast enough. It's still this was a long, long time ago, and I still occasionally my mind wanders across like, wonder what happened. Wonder what happened. Yeah, I think a woman uh, has such. It's kind of. I guess someone explained to me this, and I kind of like their analogy. I think there was a TV show of a boat that had flipped over on its side and sinking, and it was those big steel doors that latched shut. This woman got the steel door up on her shoulder. She grabbed some pipes that were on the wall, and she pulled up. And so the only thing holding this door open was this woman wedging her body through effort, ignoring pain, um, excruciating pain, and there was no way. There was no way for her to get through that door again. She was doing that so that these people could make it through. I mean, that's a pretty hardcore example, but I kind of think of that as like in that spirit is what a woman does for her children. It's you are going to make it through, and I'm going to make sure that you are absolutely protected and given everything that you need to survive and flourish and thrive. I liked Pax where you said the milk of human kindness. Is that what you said? That's awesome. I've heard that once before by somebody actually that reminds me very much of you. A strong spirit and just capable of anything. And I've mentioned it before. I think that a lot of times being capable of anything is believing it's possible. And if you grow up amongst people that just kind of like just not only can furnish you that mindset, but then also prove it to you. Like you're like, you want to do these things. Like, well, then you're going to need this training. You're going to need these tools. You're going to need this experience, and then try that thing, and you succeeded. See, and life is like that. There's not a whole lot out there that we have. It's just so hard. It's near impossible. Everything we do is a success based on our belief that we can do it, and there are tools out there for pretty much a success of whatever kind of nature that we want. Especially if you want simple things. Like, I mean, that's the other thing about like wanting things, and like suffering comes from unfulfilled desire. Let's say a lot of times, like a while ago, Mr. Roy 5 asked me about what would I do with $1 million, and I think I'll just buy some boots, quit my job, and get a nice leash for Aquila, and we just start walking. I think that the whole idea of like how you could be successful, I like that. I mean, that's attainable. Ah, what else? I can think of a couple things, but I think this has gone on long enough. Um, Hammered, thanks for the question. And Pax, that was a fantastic Mickey's video. Fantastic. I might have to borrow some of your technique. Loved it. Oh, man. Good burp, by the way, too. Got a burp. Alright. Well, thanks for having coffee with me, everybody. And remember, for every 2 zombies in front of you, there's one behind.